Let's play easy mode, hard mode, where I'll give you 10 video game genres and I'll tell you what I think is the easiest game and the hardest game from that subgenre. Let's start with platformers. I think all of the Kirby games, but especially Kirby and the Forgotten Land, are super easy jumping in points for the platforming subgenre, whereas I think Celeste is maybe the hardest platformer I've ever played. For puzzle games, I'm gonna say A Little to the Left is probably the easiest, and a game like The Witness has to be the hardest. For sim games, I'm gonna say Power Wash Simulator is probably the easiest, and I'm definitely gonna say Microsoft Flight Simulator is the hardest. That game is impenetrable. For first-person shooters, Call of Duty definitely has to be the easiest, and for the hardest, I'm gonna say Quake. Bullet hell games are really tough because I think they're just kind of inherently difficult, but I thought easiest is probably Enter the Gungeon, and maybe on the harder side, Returnal. For survival games, I think Subnautica is a really approachable and beautiful entry into the subgenre, whereas I think a game like Green Hell is the most extreme and punishing version of this type of game. Horror games was a little tricky to define, so I kind of went by what I thought was least scary versus most scary and stressful, so I went with Dead Space Remake for the easiest and Alien Isolation on Nightmare Mode for hardest. MOBAs were also really tricky because this is such a hardcore subgenre, but I went with Heroes of the Storm. I feel like this is maybe one of the more approachable in the subgenre versus Dota 2 has to be the hardest. It's so complex. Islets, I think, is one of the easiest Metroidvanias and it's super cute, whereas I think Hollow Knight Silksong is probably one of the hardest. And I picked the easiest subgenre of all for the last, which is Souls-like. So I think Elden Ring is probably the easiest Souls-like because they give you so many different options in terms of how you want to approach fights and different levels. I also think that they give you a lot of extra perks like summons and things like that that will help you get through some of the tougher encounters. And I'd say Sekiro is probably the hardest Souls-like because the parry system in that game is super brutal. So hopefully if you're a new player, you can find some jumping in points for these different subgenres, and if you're a veteran gamer, then you know how to punish yourself now. Make sure to like and follow for more game reviews, recommendations, and discussions.